So today we're going to talk about some strategies on business. Hey, it's Gary, and I want to share with you one of the key factors on implementing or things that you can implement to grow your business. And I also use this in personal life in so many different things. And it's quite simple, but it does take some discipline and some time to do. And here it is. You can't manage what you don't measure. You can't manage what you don't measure. So ultimately then, if you want to manage your business effectively, you have to have a means of measuring things. So one of the biggest things, and perhaps one of the most important things in your business to be able to measure, are your finances. So point being, are you regularly looking at your numbers, at your finances? For example, simple things just to change the gear a little bit, but to show the importance of you can't manage what you don't measure. If you do a lot of social media, are you looking at your analytics? Are you measuring where your information is going to? What country? What demographics? So if you know you have a product, for example, and you watch all your analytics and it's going to women from 28 to 45, wouldn't it make sense then, if you're going to put some advertising budget into a particular product or that particular product, because you were able to measure things, you know specifically where you need to put more money. I'll give you an example, just another example. I'm doing a real hard workout in the last month or so. I started heavily. So I've got my fat index, body mass index, BMI, all this stuff. And my first one I had, I think it was like 17%. Now I'm down to 13%. And here's what's cool. If I know I'm going to do this every month, and last month I had 17%, this month I've got 13%, what do you think's going on in my head right now? I want to get less than 13%, so I'm going to shoot for maybe 12% or 10% or 9%. If I didn't have this, I would not know how to manage what I'm doing. I would not see any progress or any regress. So I'm going to encourage you to look for different areas in your life, not just business. If you're an entrepreneur or business owner, maybe a C-level executive or CFO. CFOs obviously know this because this is what they do, but not every company can afford a CFO. And for a lot of the small companies that I work with, they're not taking enough time doing this. I know a lot of companies, and one of the first things that I do is when I go in and consult with a company, I say a company brings me and says, Gary, okay, we're going to bring you in. I want you in for a year with us. Where do we start off with? One of the first things I do is, with their blessing, I bring in an accountant. And the first thing the accountant does is clean up everything. And I have not found one company that I have worked with yet that I've given or handed over to one of my accountants or bookkeepers to help them out, that they have had their act together. Not one. Which means most people are working in the business, not on the business. They're so wrapped up in the mundane, getting things done, getting the customers and making the sale and doing this and doing that they're not looking at the big picture. So remember, you cannot manage what you do not measure. How often are you looking at your numbers? When you look at your numbers, they're telling you something. What's the other thing, right? You've heard this one before. Numbers don't what? Yeah, numbers don't lie. Numbers do not lie. That's another reason why you need to manage things by measuring them, because the numbers don't lie. So when you look at your numbers, the whole idea of measuring all this is to see where you're at, what your progress is, if you're making progress, if you're not, what area can you do better in to make more progress. And I give you another example. When I work with somebody, let's say from a more of a psychological mindset challenge, if you will, you'll often, even in some of my videos, you'll often hear me say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where are you at? I could even ask you this, on a scale of 1 to 10 in your business, if you're a business owner, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where are you at managing your numbers and measuring them? So if you said, well, I'm at a 5, now get started. Next month I'll ask you the same question on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Where are you at? Okay, now I'm at a 7, now I'm at an 8. So it forces you to see where you need to improve. And I don't know how businesses do this without effectively growing. Another area that you want to think about is, or areas that I want you to find, I should say, is I'd like you to take some time. Like for me, I'm looking at ways to measure my body fat and my muscle and all that. That's one area. Then there's finances. What about you? What are other areas in your life that you could manage better if you measured? If you manage better if you measured, what are some other areas? So there's maybe fitness, there's your health, that's probably pretty much together. There's your business, your finances, not only your personal or your business's finances, but what about your personal finances? So for those of you who are business owners, make sure you're measuring stuff. If you're doing a lot of social media, look at your analytics, figure out who's watching your stuff so you know how to create your attention to the right people. These are all important things in measuring things. So remember, you cannot manage what you don't measure. Moral of the story today is measure, measure, measure. Between now and the next time we get to chat, you know what to do. Don't let anything or anyone rent space in your head, especially the laziness and all the stories that we can get in our head to make excuses why we're not doing this. Talk to you next time.